can't find like a set of rollerblades right now because they're all getting snatched up.
So you got boots, right?
No, why would I have rollerblades? I'm 33 with a kid and a car. What in God's name would I get a pair of blades for?
Now up to bat, Dickie Pipsqueak. 3 murders on the year. Leads the league. Today, I did 1 mile at a 10-minute pace, and I felt like death at the end of it.
Well, you know what they say, Steve. The first mile is always the hardest to run. Isn't that something that running people say?
Runners, you mean? This is Steve and Kyle calling from the Steve and Kyle podcast. We had called you a couple weeks ago. We're trying to get information and all the specifics for a billboard in, I believe it was Van Wert, Ohio.
Okay.
Boy, he was real excited. Really excited to take that call.
Well, I feel like we probably caught old Joe
at a bad moment.
Either that or maybe counting the dollars in his head at how much that these two weirdos calling about a billboard in the middle of Ohio were going to provide him.
And then thinking, surely there's no way that this can stretch out for a year and a half.
Surely I won't be getting emails in May of 2020 from these two guys about where is my vinyl billboard that has been folded up in the back of my 98 Civic.
I need my 11 by 22 banner of me.
Hey, Joe, where's my face? Send it our way, please.
We're going to get right into this. It is Saturday, May 2nd, 2020. It's the Steve and Kyle podcast. Reunited once again.
Oh.
We are sitting in my backyard. We're sitting on the deck. Socially distanced. Hold on.
That's a nice tape measure. It's got some nice rigidity.
That's right. This is the Stanley Fat Max. You don't have to grab that. I'm going to put this right to your nose because that is where coronavirus comes from. We are 89 inches apart.
89 inches away. For people who can't do the quick math, that's something like 7 feet 9 inches.
7 feet and a couple inches.
7 feet-ish. 7.5 feet.
We are, again, sitting on my back deck. We have a coffee table in between us that has all of our equipment and our cords strewn about. I tweeted and Facebooked and Instagrammed. I posted a picture of the whole setup before we started recording. And I could not be happier that this is happening because the separate recording that we've been doing for the last month and a half, while very responsible and very necessary, very annoying.
Right.
It took there was a lot of work after the fact that had to be done to make those episodes sound okay.
Right, and people appreciated it because and again, we're not going to harp on it. We talked about how most podcasts have gone the simple way of, if you have a guest or we're just using the Zoom audio.
Yeah.
And we, as professionals here.
Professional broadcasters.
Yep. We refuse to accept that as our fate. And so Steve was, much like me a few weeks ago, Steve, you were in the lab on a weekly basis.
In the lab, doing arts and crafts, building, creating, I like to say.
Yep.
From a brainchild to reality.
Hey, Annette! Leave me alone, I'm creating!
That's nice. Now we can yell.
Oh, I know.
We can scream at the top of our lungs. Because we're in the backyard. The problem is you can probably hear the lawnmowers in the background. It's a beautiful day.
It's a little ambient. It's a nice setting. So you took a picture, but I almost feel like we should take another picture or have Annette take a picture of this but right before we started recording, we had the thought that, did you hear that?
I did hear that.
That was a tugboat.
It sounded a lot like some kind of tug. Toby, stop.
But
Toby's out here with us, by the way, and he is just all up in our business.
Right before we started recording, we actually joked because there was a bird squabble going on behind us. We honestly thought that people might accuse us of piping in nature noise.
That does not happen. We
don't have the budget. It's not.
We're too lazy. I'm too lazy to fake it. Like I already have to do a ton of work to make this happen in the first place.
You'd think it'd be easier every year for the year in review if we simply found fireplace sounds. But no.
That's a great point. So
we're still too lazy.
Despite our long history of faking ambiance, we swear we are not faking ambiance.
So, Steve, it's you, it's me, it's Brother Toby eating sticks out on the what once was elongated deck out in the backyard of the Steve Manor.
That's right. This is the first that you've seen it in person. What do you think? It looks pretty good, right?
I mean, listen, the previous owners had a budget for rocks, and they blew the budget for rocks right out of the water.
Yeah, their deck budget included rocks. They got the rocks dropped off and then thought, all right, well, we got $40 left over. We can build this deck.
And they did. And they
did.
So now, you're left with...
I'm left picking up the pieces.
Yeah, you're left with a kind of a walkout deck, still a fair-sized deck, and it's just the walkout that clearly was around a pool is no longer there.
Yeah.
And so now you just have, what would you call that, Steve? A 12 by 20-ish section of rocks?
Yeah. Yeah, now the good news is the majority of that will be covered up once the new deck is constructed. But yeah, I'm still left with that pit in the middle of the yard.
You're going to need a lot of fill soil.
I'm going to have to. Yeah, I'm going to have to get a truck out here to drop off some dirt, then some topsoil. Then I'm going to need either seed or sod. We haven't decided yet.
Yeah.
Now,
have you thought about
a lot of things still up in the air?
Have you thought about, much like the previous owners, Steve, maybe just going in the basement, finding all of your crap and throwing it under the new deck before it's built?
I've decided not to do that, but I do have an update on the crap that was in this house 2.5 years after moving in.
Yeah.
I think earlier this week I finally got rid of the last of their stuff. We had some stuff up in the attic above the garage.
Yep.
Gave it away. It was like 3 sets of crutches and like 4 tents. They are all gone now.
I had some questions, Steve, because I understand the ease of which you seem to give away stuff on Facebook Marketplace. And, much unlike one half of the brothers Humphrey, who apparently couldn't give away stuff on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, he did struggle with that. Was that Steven or Jeremy?
That was Steven, I believe. He was just doing it
Was
wrong.
that like a cougar or something that I just heard?
Listen,
howl?
We're in nature. You're liable to hear some bobcats, maybe a hawk fighting Toby at one point. There's probably going to be a fight between squirrels over the elusive nut. And
just so you know, there are going to be coughs and stuff in this episode that normally I would make a note of and go through and edit out.
Yeah, we don't have a timer.
Well, I can't. I have the timer running, but I can't easily. Normally, I could reach over, pull my microphone down, kind of turn my head and cough while you were speaking. You wouldn't hear it. I know this is very behind the curtain nuts and bolts that nobody cares about. I care about this, so I'm just letting you know that I don't care about it enough to go back and edit it.
It almost sounds like if we were silent for a little bit, Steve, it almost sounds like Saturday morning at the Masters. Tiger Woods up to the tee.
Oh, are you? So you're Jim Nance?
No, I'm no Jim Nance. But it's got that real sound, like a golf tournament. Right, the crowd's silent right before the big tee shot. At 16. Just rounded amen corner. Oh, I love it. I love it, and I fear I'm going to enjoy it so much today, and then we're going to start looking at the weather for next Saturday, and it's going to be 15 degrees cooler and windy, and we're not going to be able to do it.
Again, we are... hold on, I feel like you moved a bit.
I do. I have a chair scooching issue.
Hold on. Oh, look at that. We're actually 93 inches apart. We've actually moved back.
Whoa!
Because we're sitting in my Adirondack chairs, which allows you to lean back quite a bit.
Yeah, now we are minus this week, Steve, the mimosas. We talked about them.
We did.
I did not stop into the store on the way over. If we can do this again next week, I'll be stopping into the store on the way over.
This is... For me, personally, this is the plan moving forward, if you're on board with it.
Well, we may need an awning. But I think we can.
Maybe why don't we each get a parasol?
Ooh,
that's fancy for umbrella.
Now, the only fear is that we're going to put our listeners to sleep because, the sound of rain.
Yeah, that's
true. The pitter-patter on the top of the parasol.
Yeah, but a parasol is really, it's for fancy people to use when it's too sunny. Right. They use an umbrella when it rains. But
that's true.
They use a parasol.
My apologies, Steve.
Come on.
Obviously,
Are you not a fancy man?
Now, Steve, we have big news that I need an update immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled into the driveway.
Wait, you had started to ask about the Facebook giveaway.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Thank you for not allowing another loose end to happen.
But we digress.
But obviously, you gave away some stuff this week because I was curious. I didn't see the posting. I have
to start sharing those to my actual
page.
My page, because I normally just share them to Marketplace.
Well, here's the problem, though. At least with our mutual friends, if you make that posting on your personal page, by the time anybody else sees it, it's going to have 12 comments, most of them being genital jokes.
Yeah.
That by the time it makes it to the Marketplace and anybody clicks on it, they're going to say, "Oh, I'm not going to buy
Or
this."
inevitably, it's one of my friends in New Jersey commenting, "I'll take it. Do you deliver?"
Yeah. It's a real recurring theme on your posts.
Yeah, we get it. That is a joke.
Hundreds of miles away. You'd be better off just muting that person or deleting that comment. But no, listen, the picture you sent me was not, and I steadfastly claim, was not giveaway items.
You don't think so?
I think you threw a lot of money away with your giveaway. And now, granted, giving away, you're getting rid of the hassle.
Yeah.
Makes it easier.
It's gone within an hour.
You're not haggling. You're not negotiating. You're not worrying about how the exchange of money is going to go.
Yeah, especially now. That's more of a concern. And with something, that was part of the reason that I just said, take it.
Right.
I just left it out in the driveway. They came and picked it up.
So let me ask you describe to everybody what you gave away, and I'm going to post on the poll this week, and we'll get to the poll results as well at Steve and Kyle, Facebook and Twitter. I'll post on the poll, did Steve, give up
money away?
Did Steve throw money away by giving away his supplies this week?
Yeah.
Because you had some good stuff in there.
You think?
Listen, had I known it was you weren't selling, I had to throw my name in the ring on a couple of those items.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's why whenever I'm doing a giveaway, I may not have ever verbalized it, but by sending you the picture, it's kind of your right of first refusal. Right. So I'm sending it to you to say, hey, got this good stuff, like I did with the world's biggest tarp. Yeah. Which, boy, am I regretting I gave that away, because with all the rain that we got and the massive dirt pit that I have in the middle of my yard, it would have come in really helpful.
Well, and coming from someone who did, it's self-admittedly, way too much tarp shopping last fall.
You're shopping around quite a bit?
I was looking for tarps. I needed a weird-shaped tarp.
There is a store 5 miles from both of us that sells tarps and gloves.
Well, what I was hoping...
That is it.
Well, Stephen, I know the business you're in, and so I guess what I was hoping for was one of those very, very exclusive remote broadcasts.
So I'll do the remote broadcast there from Saturday, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Yep.
And then you come out and get a good deal,
a good deal, or honestly, preferably is you get there, you go, hey, you mind if I grab a tarp on the way out?
My buddy Kyle needs an octagon tarp. You got one of them?
But a guy who did again too much tarp shopping last fall, I needed a weird shaped tarp. And
what shape did you need?
Well, what I have, Steve, is one of those, I guess it's little tykes, but one of those hard plastic play sets that has a couple slides going. And so here's the thing. It's got a play set like, a house. So you climb up into the center of it, and then it has two small to medium slides off the side. And I just wanted to put this underneath my deck through the winter, and I wanted it covered. So unless I buy a 40 by 40... it's going to be difficult to cover everything with those two slides going off the side. So I'm doing measurements, and what are you're measuring?
Pythagorean theorem, since there's a slide involved.
And, oh my God, was I off? So the tarp I got Not good enough.
Not even close.
So in hindsight, I should have claimed the half-yard tarp and cut off, started shearing a bunch of...
You had your shot at that.
I did.
You had your shot. You tried to get me to cut it down. I refused.
You did?
I said, I won't even bundle this up into a pile. If you want it, come and get it. I'll wave from the window, which is exactly what I did when somebody came and picked it up.
Yeah, as we talked about, and that was on the poll. We'll get to those results again. But, Steve, please describe, and I stand by it, and I think the poll will agree. What did you give away this week on Facebook? The last remnants of the previous ownership of this home.
Gave away 3 sets of crutches. They came in small, medium, and large. Apparently,
not the value I was talking about, but...
Apparently, the previous owners... Lots of leg problems.
Man, could have used that a few years ago, right?
Yeah. No, it's funny because one of them was like old school solid wood, and then 2 of them were the more modern ones, the aluminum or steel or whatever they are.
Which can still bend, as I described. Can still be folded up like a wallet if you abuse those.
I don't remember that. What happened?
And, when someone actually needs it, with a ruptured Achilles, and you've got some jackass softball teammates who decide to use them as pogo sticks.
I think it was more stilts than pogo sticks.
Oh, I am so sorry, Steve. That's a fair correction, one that's hard to argue. Yes, they still don't work. So you gave away your 3 sets of varying size crutches.
Yeah, 3 sets of crutches. Hopefully that family now with the 3 crippled people.
now was this a all take it all or take it or leave it?
Yeah,
proposal?
This was all or nothing.
So
all of them are. They're always all or nothing.
You'll understand my laughter when you hear what they were associated with, because it's not like there was also other medical supplies that someone may
like
need.
ace bandages or gauze. No,
you didn't uncover a hidden stash of PPE.
No,
you encountered some random stuff.
There were 4 different shape and variety of tents, and 2 of them.
Yeah,
like when I say tent, not like a camping tent. These were more like, we're going out to the park for the family reunion. Let's bring the gazebo looking tent.
Right.
And I know that you're going to think, oh, you mean those easy up ones? No. These are about these precede the easy up tents by about 20 years. These were the ones where they were green and white striped.
Yep.
And they came with about 3,000 poles that you had to fit together.
Yep. Which was the last type of tent I had, because, again, camping sucks, and I couldn't be less interested.
So you had to build the framework, and then you had to get, 3 of your friends to help you manage to get the tarp over the top of it, put the stakes in. So there were 2 of them, and then one that was kind of like a screened-in version of that, and then there was one that was a little bit different. So these things were up in the attic. They had obviously been there forever because I took them down. You can tell just by the packaging. I mean, it's like kids with bowl cuts, and it says it's the grooviest tent in the world. And then they were duct taped shut, but the duct tape had long since dry rotted away.
Okay.
So they had been up there a long time.
So varying degrees of quality, then, is what you're saying.
So I just wanted them gone. I didn't even open them to see. Those boxes could have been stuffed with $100 bills. That could have been their nest egg that they somehow forgot about.
Right.
Didn't care. Gave it away.
But you opened the half-yard tarp to make sure it wasn't stuffed with $100 bills.
That I was more curious if there was a body in there.
So how would we describe these? Because I want to look and give you a price point of what they would be new. Like if you were to give it like a screen. I think one had the name Screen Gazebo.
Yeah,
or
screen Gazebo tent. I'm assuming they looked like they were approximately 10 by 10.
Okay, so if I'm looking just on your generic big box store, the one that everybody loves, that looks like you're throwing a dart. Hint, hint.
Target.
Whoa! I mean, I didn't say it. See, I don't want to anger our other sponsors.
You can just say it. It's just the name of a store.
So, Steve, what I have for you, and I'll give you the cheapest.
Okay.
This is a 10-foot angled leg screen room patio. See, no, this doesn't even qualify because it's an attachment, so that's not going to work. What I have is a Coleman screened canopy, Steve.
Okay.
This one's 11 by 11.
Ooh.
Any guesses on new? What one of those might cost you?
11 by 11. So this is not an easy up.
I mean, it's listen. I gave the description. It's
apologies. I'll say.
I'll get. You know what? I'll give you
$60.
Okay, so this Coleman Instant Screen. So I'm guessing it is an easy
so
up.
yeah, it's
now, you
some
don't have
kind
to
of
worry
pop-up.
about
Yep.
$129.99.
Ooh, boy. So you're saying that I jumped the gun a bit.
And now again, these weird gazebo screen room only attachments. Again, I don't know if you need something.
So
with
it's probably just the screen sections that you then zip in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And those are still $69.99.
Boy.
Steve. Even if you would put them on there for $25 or $30 a piece,
probably could have gotten $20.
You'd have been at near $100.
But they would still be they would all be sitting in my garage right now. Because
you don't think they'd be gone?
I could have eventually sold them. I feel like it would have taken the majority of the summer to sell it.
See, now let me tell you this, Steve. I have gotten a touch into my own bit of Facebook Marketplace.
Really?
Selling.
You're just bringing this up now?
Well, because...
Is this new during quarantine? Have you decided to take on new hobbies?
Well, no, it wasn't a lot of stuff. What I had at the house, I had an extra weed whacker.
Okay.
Which I didn't like. I didn't use it. It was one of those long, like one of the ones with the long handle on it. I didn't like it. It was an extra one. I didn't use it. Didn't need it.
All right.
I also had a spare lawnmower. It was the first lawnmower I had when I moved out. I got it from my dad.
I got 2 lawnmowers and an extra weed whacker.
This was a push lawnmower, Steve, from the 90s that wasn't, self-propelled, none of that. And
the old-fashioned.
Very old-fashioned.
You got to put in the old work when you're cutting the grass.
Darn right. Put in the old work, rub the grease on elbows. Is that how it goes?
Bang on a drum all day.
Yeah, you rub the elbow grease onto the drum, all that stuff. And what I wanted was a leaf blower of the gasoline variety. Steve.
Okay, all right.
Because I had an electric one, and what I ended up doing...
most people are going electric these days.
Get out of my face.
You talking electric plug-in or electric battery?
Electric plug-in.
Oh.
But you could take your electric plug-ins and throw them next to your electric via battery and put them all in the nearest garbage can. I want gasoline.
Mother Nature be damned.
Oh, come on.
So, did you go backpack?
Steve, I'm not sitting here going to leaf blow businesses. I'm leaf blowing.
I want to go backpack.
It's a standard length driveway. By the time I get my Ghostbusters pack on and I'm walking out there to blow the ghosts away in my driveway, the weather's changed.
Oh,
I don't need a half an hour.
I'm going to go backpack, I think.
So what I decided to do, Steve, and I want to preface this by saying, I'm not struggling to the point where it's like I couldn't afford the new leaf blower if I didn't want it. But
you've talked in weeks past about how the coronavirus has been very profitable for you.
People are dying. Kyle's counting his money.
Remember that, folks. Remember that.
New car, new leaf blower, refinancing the home, lowering the payment.
I like how you throw leaf blower in there. Bought a private jet. Bought this here new tape measure. Things are good. Things are good.
I was like, I'm going to get rid of my extra stuff, and I'll just use that to dump into the new leaf blower, right? So yeah, I dumped off my weed whacker for $25. I got rid of my lawnmower for $20, and got rid of the leaf blower for $20. But anyway, it ended up being like $70, $75.
Look at you,
just in garbage that I didn't need anymore. And I was able to get... Oh, man. I was like a kid on Christmas morning this week, Steve. The old UPS man came through on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever day it was and dropped off that 15-pound box. Dumped some gas. I was just blowing the air just to see if it worked.
Just saying, screw you, Mother Nature.
Now, I also had an encounter this week with another Facebook Marketplace purchase. But this one...
Now, are you doing face-to-face, or are you saying Venmo me, give me cash? What are you doing?
Venmo was not an option here, Steve, and you'll understand why in a moment. My wife did the Facebook Marketplace shopping, and I was then tasked with the idea of picking up and delivering said purchase. So when she sent me a screenshot of the posting, and I said, yeah, that looks great, I didn't read it. I looked at the picture, whatever, and it said make an offer, which I thought was odd, but who am I to judge? So like a day later, she's like, hey, I offered him $10, and I ended up saying, sure. Okay. What I had to pick up, I needed a truck for, which I don't have. I needed a back end that, it would be able to tie down.
For $10.
For $10, Steve.
Oh, boy. This sounds like a good deal.
So I get my one of my best friends. He lives two houses down from me, and he has a truck. Strap his truck on. He drives me out, Steve, to a burgeoning town nearby that you're all too familiar with. Well, you're familiar with the area. You blink and you'll miss it. Borculo.
Borculo, yes. It just sounds like a small town.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like the town that, is advertising on its only sign outside the liquor store that they now accept credit cards.
Yeah, I drove through, I guess I'll call it downtown Borculo.
Man, you saw the ice cream shop and the gas station?
Well, there's a place that inexplicably is called Stromboli's Borculo Express.
Oh, right. So, yeah, adjoining to the liquor store in Borculo. And
Toby, leave it, buddy.
Oh, man.
Thought he was eating a bird there for a minute. He's caught a bunch of creatures in the last couple of weeks.
There's a lot more open area for him now.
There are
line of sight's all opened up.
Considerably less squirrels in the yard now because they've gotten the memo that this is not
the house to trifle with.
Not a yard to get caught running around in.
So on Tuesday afternoon, Steve, my buddy, and I get in the truck and we head out to
Borculo,
big downtown, and pull into the house.
Did you say, now, I'll meet you at the traffic light and no further directions were needed?
Well, let me describe to you how this went down, because, again, my wife did the communications, and to give you a semblance of how this went down.
What's Borculo's high school mascot? It's like the...
Oh, it's got to be the Beavers.
Borculo Beavers?
The Borculo Beavers. There's no question.
And do you think that, like, at the football games on Friday night, when they're doing a chant, they go, Bork, 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 Bork.
And they don't have him. It's an actual beaver. Like, it's not a person in a beaver suit. They just go down to the river and
climb into a dam.
Capture the largest beaver they can find.
Right.
And that is said Borculo Beaver's mascot.
Naturally.
So my wife did all the communications for this, Steve. And to describe to you how it went down was there was no...
Toby.
Text communication related to this.
Okay.
It's all done over the phone.
Oh, phone call. Okay. I'm starting to see why Venmo was not an option.
So, during these phone communications, my wife received a hell of a lot of information about the man selling what I'm going to buy.
Okay.
And we pulled into the house of an 83-year-old man named Joe.
Okay. Is this Rex's cousin, maybe?
It may be Rex's cousin, but let me tell you a little bit about Joe's life. Joe lives alone, Steve.
Jesus, Toby. He is,
He's got like a twist, not a twist tie, but like a plastic tie down.
He's orbiting this yard so fast.
Oh, he lost it. There it is.
Look at him go. Look at him go.
This is the most excitement you could have. Oh,
Toby, come on, buddy.
Throw it. Throw me the plastic tie down. So, 83-year-old Joe, Steve. I pull up, and the first thing he says when I get out of my friend's truck, because, again, this shouldn't have been done face-to-face. The man's 83 in times of a pandemic.
Did he say something completely inappropriate, like, you ain't one of them queers, are you?
Well, I thought you'd be Asian. Thank Christ you're not. Last time I saw one of yours was on the island of Okinawa. No, he said, I'm not worried about the virus, so come on up.
Oh, good. Of course you're not, sir. Of course you're not.
So this 83-year-old man...
I would have gotten... The next thing I would have done would have been, well, see you later, Joe. I'm heading home because I am worried about the virus.
So this is an 83-year-old man with it might be a brand new home. It's like, I don't know why an 83-year-old man is taking on a mortgage.
Okay.
And it's like, but whatever.
But I mean, you don't know. Maybe he's got a lot of money and
he
paid cash, and
he's got a pole barn that's bigger than my house.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay,
starting to come around. I like Joe now.
It's probably in there, but no, he says, pull the truck around to the other side to this ramshackle shed that's about to fall over.
Like my old shed that I gave away on Facebook Marketplace, where someone spent 4 hours deconstructing it in my backyard.
Yep. And then you then gave away the wood base to it underneath it as part of a package deal with a concrete cylinder for a bird
bath base.
Bird bath base, Steve. And so we pull the truck around, and he opens the door to the shed, and I'll be darned. Old Joe put some oil in his rototiller or whatever it's called. Is that a thing?
Yeah. Like for digging up if you're planting a garden?
Yep.
Yeah.
And put oil in it the night before, and he's got a little bit of a leak, and he knew it was going to leak a little bit, Steve. He didn't know how much, and this is a little bit more oil on the ground than he thought, so he's going to go ahead and...
like a Valdez-size oil spill in his shed?
It's probably 8 inches.
Okay, so that's probably all of the oil. For a rototiller.
So he's got what looks to be the rag he wipes his nose with when he's out.
Good.
Busts that out of his pocket and just starts moving the oil around on the floor of the shed while telling us said story about how he put oil in this device the night before.
Right.
And he moves it out of the way once the oil's been swabbed around on the floor and shows me the lattice that I had come there to purchase.
Oh, so you weren't there for the rototiller.
It's not there for the rototiller.
Okay, I thought that you would be there for
this rototiller was from the 1970s,
So what
Steve.
So was that like his prized possession that he had to stop and show you?
No, listen, it's just a tale Joe needed to tell, and I happen to be the wanting...
Lucky you.
Yeah, I happen to be the wanting ears that were... in Joe's vicinity.
You know, I didn't know that you were in the market for some lattice.
Did you have some for me?
Because I got the deal of the century for you.
What?
Turn around, look. See that?
That's white. Keep it.
I got gray too. You need gray?
Nah, brown.
What are you looking at? Oh, brown. Okay.
Is that wood or is that vinyl?
It's vinyl.
Oh, now you have my attention.
You get a can of spray paint. Suddenly it's brown.
Out of my budget.
Well, it's there if you want it.
I'm good. As I'm telling you, I drove to Borculo to pick up the lattice. So this is, I'm doing the math quickly in my head, Steve. 3 times the amount of lattice I'll need for this very small project I'm doing.
Okay.
And all I need is the lattice.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut it with a circular saw just to the angle I need. It's going to be on a bit of a hill. It's going to be fine. It's easy. We start bringing it outside, and Joe will not accept the answer that me and my friend, both in our 30s, young burly men, will handle the lattice hauling.
Oh, okay. So
he's
a tough old coot.
Joe's got it. So as we grab, 1 or 2 of the pieces, we bring it. We're going back because there's a few other like cut pieces that were kind of part of the package, right? And Joe's planting potatoes. Steve.
Okay.
Wants to show me the potato garden. I don't know if you know this, Steve.
That's a lot of info. I'm assuming that this all, in the end, a nice little bow is put on it because it all relates back to the lattice.
Sure. I don't know if you know this, Steve, but potatoes are a resilient plant because he's a little worried about the weather. It's going to be a few nights of temperatures dropping.
Sure. Yeah, you don't want them to freeze, lose your whole crop. How many acres of potatoes does he have?
I'd guess it's it looked like about a 10 by 20 spot of potato.
Okay. That's a lot of potatoes.
A lot of potatoes. Apparently, Joe just eats them raw. just chomps down a potato.
Just bite it like an apple.
Raw, uncooked, boiled, washed, scrubbed, doesn't matter to old Joe. He's biting into that thing.
No.
Health be damned. And so he tells us about the potatoes and how they're resilient and how it can withstand a few freezes as long as it's not a really hard freeze, Steve.
Yeah, you're probably okay. If it dips down to 30 one night, those potatoes would be okay.
Well, Steve, let me tell you, come over here. Let me show you what I was going to do with the lattice.
So now he's going to show you what he is now not doing with the lattice, which is the reason you're buying it.
Yep. So we walked about 30 feet into his backyard. so he could show me his deck that he was going to put the lattice around, and decided not to. And as he decided to put the lattice in his shed, his daughters told him, "You need to get rid of this crap." I'm assuming the daughters are planning for the...
For those listening, that was the old knife to the throat movement. So now I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what you just made it sound like is that his daughters are planning to murder him.
Listen. Brand new house.
Oh, so you think that they're looking at they're playing the long game here. They're thinking once old Joe the dad is out of here.
Listen, let me euphemize. Once Joe walks out back and finds the old 5-gallon, the empty bucket, and he punts that thing into his potato field, I don't know that there's going to be more tears shed among the daughters.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
You're reading it. Man, you really spent a lot of time with this guy. Because
Too much time! Steve.
Because picking up a couple pieces of lattice should have been a...
60 seconds.
Back into the driveway. Is that the lattice? Put it in the truck. Here's your $10, Joe.
Yep.
Take care.
Now, what I had... Now listen. Everybody who's listened to this podcast and knows me knows I'm not, DIY or real hands-on.
Well, I mean, you're Dick Kyle.
Nope.
Dick
Nope.
Kyle.
Nope, not the name. Nobody said that. Nobody. I mean, nobody has ever said that.
Dick Kyle.
Knows that I'm not good with... I wasn't a Boy Scout, right? I wasn't out there building birdhouses to get a badge. And
sure.
You know what? You're all losers if you were, by the way. Top to bottom.
Bold statement.
To hell with all you. You're all weird.
Even bolder.
So my whole plan was, this lattice is 8 feet long, Steve. I figure we will put it up over the tailgate because it's not going to fly upward.
Right. Yeah.
So
well, that way
up,
the wind, because if you put it angled down towards the tailgate and then up over the cab, then the wind can get under it, lift it up. Yeah.
But here's the problem, Steve, is while we're loading the lattice, old Joe decides I'm going to start emptying my garbage shed into this guy's truck. He's coming out with 8 foot long, like I couldn't even tell you the dimensions, but wood like that, like probably 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch, 8 feet long, and he's just bringing them out. You need these? Not really, Joe. Leans them against the truck.
I would have just driven away just to watch it all tip over.
He's going in, and again, I just want the lattice.
Right.
He's coming out
That's
with...
all you're there for.
Apparently, there's stuff for lattice on tops and bottoms with, like, you can put in grooves or, like...
Okay.
Like, to hold, I guess?
Yeah.
Again, I don't need it. I'm putting this up to keep possums out from under my steps. So these are in varying lengths from 4 feet to 6 feet to 8 feet. And so now he's like, well, you got any tie downs? So we're tying down wood in the back of this truck, and he's watching me. I don't know knots.
Yeah.
I don't even know what am I tying this to?
Yeah, is Joe teaching you how to do like a use a midshipman's knot?
Yeah, so he's sitting there, elbows on the tailgate, which I'm sure is the way Joe's going to be in his coffin. It's like arms on a tailgate, and he's telling me, now swoop it back through there and then give it a slip knot.
Nah, go around the bunny ears.
Listen, Joe, I wasn't around the time that you were making nooses in the 30s and 40s.
Oh, so Joe is now a murderer.
I'm just saying Joe was around the time of Jim Crow.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. Joe seemed to have a handle on the slip knot.
Okay. Could have been in the military.
Yeah.
Could have just learned how to.
Sure.
Could have been a Boy Scout.
Loser.
I was a Boy Scout.
Idiot.
Not backing down, huh?
Looking in your face, calling you an idiot.
Just mashing that gas pedal down.
I just can't get over the fact you got that stupid scarf around your neck.
Yeah, it's called a neckerchief. Thank you very much.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Oh, God. I don't know what I'm doing. So at this point, I just start swooping the rope in between different things, and I go, "Oh yeah, yeah, really tight." Because at this point,
meanwhile, your friend is no doubt in the driver's seat,
he's
engine running, foot halfway down on the throttle.
He's laughing on the other side of the truck as he's tying down another pile of garbage we didn't want.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, I say, "That's good. Slip him $10." Joe, get in the truck, and we tear out of there. We tear out of there at like 30 miles an hour, and we go, find the nearest parking lot. We're going to do this the way we want to do it. We just needed to get away from Joe.
Oh, man, I kind of feel bad for Joe.
I don't.
Well, I mean...
Family obviously hates him. As you heard. And daughter's waiting for the house.
Sure. And you figured all this out. So, from start to finish, how long do you think you were there?
14 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, so Joe was...
that should have been, again, 2 minutes
2 minutes tops. Yeah, so, I mean, this was a shipment, a quote-unquote, Steve, deal of the century, if you will.
That's a good deal.
That I got home and honestly took half of the stuff out of my friend's tailgate, or out of his truck bed, and threw it into my trash can.
Now,
lumber.
I'm not
like painted lumber. Why was this? Wasn't part of the deal? I don't need it.
I'm not up on my current lattice prices.
Yeah.
What's a new piece of lattice run you?
$25.
$25
per 4x8, and I got 2 of those.
Oh, okay.
Plus, like some other pieces that had cuts and stuff.
Very nice.
So if you need some brown lattice, Steve, coming.
I have some white and gray that I'm looking to get rid of.
Garbage, I hear. Everybody wants the painted brown nowadays. So what?
Well, I'm happy to hear that you're now in the game, so to speak.
Yeah. And I listen. I kind of got the itch.
You got the bug?
I think I'm going to make some money off of this
project.
What
are you going to do?
Because I'm going to have some leftover lattice. Again, way too much lattice.
Mm-hmm.
Way too much. I think I'm going to sell the leftover for $10.
So you will break even, but actually come out ahead.
Yeah, and get my... Well, yeah, because I got to meet Joe. And
yeah, that alone is... I mean, that's priceless.
Invaluable.
Yeah.
Invaluable, but...
Well, welcome to the game, brother.
Yeah.
Welcome to the game.
And especially right now where I'm already profiting extra money from work. And
now you have a bona fide advantage in the Facebook Marketplace game because you're already excellent at sending passive-aggressive messages.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that's like your... Some artists paint, some sculpt, some use clay, some chip away at stone. But you use Facebook insults as your medium.
Very good at it. Coworker had a birthday this week. Facebook I'm working alongside him,
mm-hmm.
and he's telling me like, "Oh man, like, oh, here we go, Facebook notifications, great. I'm gonna have these for all morning."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, okay. So I went to his Facebook page real quick and wrote, "Birthdays are stupid."
Good. I'm sure that really made him feel loved on his special day, anniversary of his birth.
Get what you get. But Steve, we got, I don't even know what time we're at, but
we are 44 minutes in.
Man, we've got a couple of bits. Obviously, we've got to get to the weekly bits, but there's one thing I wanted to ask you about, because I pulled into the driveway this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Again, first time in weeks. Lawn.
This is
by the way, lawn. Fantastic,
spectacular, right?
Right.
I've cut it once already.
You need to take a picture. Like
I do.
When you leave, when you need to post it, because people have been laughing and guffawing at you and your lawn care expertise.
Can you go
for
back
a couple of years
and
now.
maybe find, because you a couple of summers ago when I murdered the lawn.
Yeah.
Can you go back and find the picture of when it was at its absolute worst and send it to me? You don't have to do it now, but after we're done recording.
Yeah, and we'll do a side by side.
Do a side by side. Because I said to Annette the other day, I went out and cut the grass for the first time this year, and it was more just to pick up the leaves, random leaves blowing around.
Sure.
So I just wanted to make it look nice. Everyone's starting to cut their grass. And I came back inside, and I said to her, I think we saved it. It's actually, like, it's alive. We did it. I don't know what we did, but... other than dumping thousands and thousands of dollars worth of water on it last summer.
Right. And to recap, I have a neighbor nearby who literally burned like killed it on purpose. And theirs came back within weeks. But you know what? Kudos.
I even hired a company to come out and fix it.
And they probably looked at it and thought, oh, my God, this is a lost cause.
Yeah.
But
well,
anyway.
we decided to, because they come out and they put down fertilizer a couple times a year.
Right.
So we told them this year, yeah, maybe don't worry about the backyard this year. We're just going to do front yard because, as you can see, this is my new lost cause. Piles of rocks, a hole, Toby's berm from where he used to run around the deck. Yeah, this is it.
But we digress. I pulled into the driveway this morning, Steve, and what did I see?
Mm-hmm.
Not Jeep wrenching.
No.
Not, working on the new one of your daily cars. What did I see in the driveway? A Steve in his primitive form, a backward hat, a leather vest on.
I'm pretty sure my hat was forwards.
And there was Steve getting the scooter fired up.
One question, Kyle. What season is it?
Steve, welcome to Scoot season.
It is indeed Scoot season. I pulled the Tao Racer 50 out of the shed.
Man.
And
she looked great.
You know, the winter was good to her.
Yeah.
She spent the whole winter out in the backyard in the shed. I took the battery off of it last night. Like, I took the battery out and left it down on my workbench in the basement so it didn't completely die.
Yep.
And then last night I thought to myself, I was talking to Annette, I said, maybe I'll plug in Toby, come on. Toby's actually climbing on Kyle's lap.
We're buddies.
Toby, come here, buddy.
It's okay, buddy. I know. You just miss people. I love you too.
So I took the battery, put it on my charger last night, came out into the garage this morning. It was green light, battery's totally charged.
So obviously you were out there polishing it this morning then, right?
I was just putting the battery back on, and you were there when I started it for the first time of the season.
And I got to tell you, like tingles in the fingers type of...
It started pretty much right up.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to give it a little bit of gas, but within 15 seconds, it was purring.
Yeah, and I had to stop you. Again, your hat was flipped backwards. You were just putting on the Ray-Bans. You were just getting ready to tear out of town.
Yeah.
So
leave my wife, leave my kid.
So I need to ask you, because in a matter of 3 minutes, you went back and forth.
Yeah.
So before you started it, while we were standing in the driveway,
yes,
you said, I think I'm going to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Scoot season was about to meet its perilous demise.
Yeah.
You turned it on, you fired it up, you feathered the throttle, which is something Scoot people say.
Yep.
And you're standing there, you're like, yeah, idle's a little bit high, and then it calmed down.
Yeah.
You said, I don't know, man. I think I might keep it.
Well, look, as a Scoot head like I am, it's tough to once that blood starts pumping. Once you hear those 49 cc's with a big bore kit making it 89 cc's, once you hear it purring like that, it's tough to send it down the road. So even in the 45 minutes that we've been recording this,
that's why I asked.
In my head, I've kind of gone back and forth. Maybe I'll keep it. Maybe I'll sell it. Maybe I'll keep it. Maybe I'll sell it. Because look, this is obviously a terrible time to try and sell something.
No, it's not. Take it from my experience.
That's true. You are rolling in the cash.
Although yours would be a substantially larger purchase.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a I don't know. I guess I call it a luxury item. Not just anybody can afford China's best 49cc motorcraft.
There is some Trump money to go around, though.
That's
Steve.
true, boy. If I price this right, well, the stimulus checks were what, $1,200?
Yeah, but you got to sell it to a family man, 24.
Well, 29 if he's got a kid or two.
There you go.
Yeah.
You cut him a deal,
perfect way to waste. I mean, the perfect way to invest your stimulus check.
Yeah.
Is with a Tao Racer 50. It's a 2018 model. Got the big bore kit on it. I bobbed the rear fender, made a custom license plate bracket for it.
Is that up to, Steve, 90 cc's? Is that what I hear?
Yeah, just shy of 90 cc. I believe it's 88 or 89.
Now, obviously, Steve, you're not hawking some gross drab brown hot rod here, are you?
Of course not. This is white and blue and silver.
And did I hear something about a freshly charged battery included in the deal?
It's actually a brand... That is part of the bummer. I put a brand new battery in it last fall, rode the thing 2 times, and it's got a brand new like $85 lithium-ion battery in it.
Speaking of riding it 2 times, Steve, did I hear this thing is low on mileage with fresh tires?
88 miles?
You drove this thing to work for a while. A few times, right?
I absolutely never drove this thing to work.
This thing is the perfect workday rider for all your hot rod buddies.
The only reason I would have no problem driving it to work. Reliability, no problem. It would make it there perfectly fine. But I am not riding this thing on a highway.
So, Steve, before you give where you're at, and again, you're waffling back and forth, and I haven't gotten your wife Annette's thoughts on this either, I'm going to post on the poll again this week at Steve and Kyle. Should Steve sell his hot rod scooter?
Can you call it the hot rod scoot?
Hot rod scoot? Okay,
yeah.
I'll post that. Should Steve...
And maybe... we'll take a picture of it and post it, too.
Yeah, we can post it in the comments of the poll. So should Steve sell the hot rod scoot?
Yeah.
I think I know the way this poll's going to go. But right now, while recording, where do you stand?
Right now, I think it's going to be posted for sale. It is scoot season.
Yeah, but you
beautiful
took it.
Day like this, everyone's going to want to be out scooting.
You took it for a little loop around the Zach.
Yeah.
It didn't give you the itch to go take that puppy out to
go
run very minimally necessary groceries.
It felt a little spongy because I think the tires may have lost a bit of air over the winter.
Well, that'll happen, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as of now, Steve, what do we need on this poll for you to keep the scoot and utilize the scoot this summer? You and Evelyn strap her in the baby Bjorn. Go.
No, I'll put her in a burly like it's a bicycle.
That's right.
The exhaust pipe pointing right in her face.
He's got a cardboard tube so that it's like
toilet paper tube,
like a smokestack.
Yeah,
and you just angle it upward.
Yeah.
What do we need on these polls for you to seriously consider?
For me to keep it,
keeping the scoot.
It's got to be 95%.
We need 95 and 5 to make Steve consider keeping the scoot, and that's without taking into account Annette's considerations here.
Yeah,
which I'm sure she's considering. Well, I don't care, and that's a couple. That's money.
Yeah.
In the bank if we don't. So I would prefer a sale. I don't blame Annette there. But hey, she's beholden to the listening audience.
That's true. That's I mean, it's out of our hands now.
95.5.
But yeah, the scoot, boy, like I said, man, as soon as that thing got purring, I was like,
you see the edge.
Oh boy, I'm gonna take it for a ride today.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
Could you see yourself being a motorcycle guy again, like down the road?
Well, again, I don't consider myself a motorcycle guy now. I've never actually ridden like a legit motorcycle.
Oh, really? So you've never been on a Harley and taken it for a ride or anything like that?
No, never have.
Could you see yourself with the, feeling the power of those 89 cc's underneath you today? Could you see yourself being a Harley guy?
No, because I get that thing up, it'll go like 52, 53 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And I have a death grip on those handlebars. Yeah. And if God forbid, a car passes me, it's the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced.
Oh, God, you can take motorcycle people and put them next to Boy Scouts. Ugh. The worst.
Huh?
The worst. Just like lemmings off a cliff. Just get rid of all of them.
To be clear, you're now advocating for pushing motorcyclists off
Steve.
of a cliff.
Lemmings weren't pushed. Lemmings simply walked. I want to be very clear on that. I just think they're all dumb.
All right. Huh. All right, boy, no time like the present to make sure that... Hold on. Oh, no, my...
What? There was a Stanley Flat Max or whatever it's called.
Fat Max. Fat Max.
It's supposed to be. Flat Max seems like a better name.
Okay, let's get this.
I know I've been wiggling a lot, so I apologize if we're within 60 inches.
Oh, it would be 72 inches would be the...
6 feet, I apologize. Yeah, 5 feet. Yeah.
We are closing in on 8 feet. We're at 94.5 inches.
Maybe I'm pushing back with all of my hot takes. Steve, I want to ask you because we're a little. I wouldn't say we're crunched on time.
Didn't we have an A-bit this week that we had to get to?
That's what I want to ask. So we've got the. Do we want to get to the inaugural Kyle's Gripe of the Week? We still got to get to Kenny Rogers' factoid.
Of course.
Of the
we
week.
can't skip that.
We can. Do we want to scrap the polls? We'll get to the polls next week. We'll lump them all.
Yeah,
in.
let's just do it. Why don't we go speed polls right now?
Because we've still got to do, Steve. We also have a Fast Five coming next week.
We do. Yeah, we have to record that.
We
right
obviously
after this.
record live next week.
Not from the deck. Nope. Not at all.
Okay,
so last week we had, 5 polls maybe?
Yeah.
4?
Yeah, let me scroll back and grab them. So, Steve, last week we talked about, I don't remember how we got to this. When carrying out a casket, do you go head first or feet first?
Right, because I'm thinking a lot of times when you see the pallbearers carrying the casket out the front door of the church and then maybe down the steps, it seems like it would be uncomfortable if they were going head first. The person inside would be, all their weight would be on their head.
Bobbing around. Steve, 63% of the audience said head first.
Head first, really?
Yeah, that was a genuine surprise to me.
That's it. Boy, my mind is blown on a weekly basis with these polls.
Is Steve a jerk for not helping roll up a tarp? Thank you to Travis Brandt for the comment every time we post one of these that you could have stopped at jerk.
Yeah, I did see that. I ignored it, and then you just brought it back up. So now I'm hurt again.
60% of the audience, Steve, said, yes, you are a jerk for literally moving windows to watch the guy struggle to roll up this tarp.
Drink in my hand like, how you doing, sir? Good to see you. Okay, so I'm a jerk.
Let me take a look before I read this next one.
I think I see where this is headed.
Is two-person volleyball without a net in your backyard weird? You talked about, Steve, your neighbors.
Yeah. Which
did that.
Haven't seen them. I saw them. I put a pin in that. We'll have to get back to something about the neighbors. I think that they're confused with
how humans operate.
Well, yes, but also where the divider between, like where the property line is.
Okay. Well, we can go over and have a discussion too. See, and this is a bit of a surprise to me. Again, is two-person volleyball without a net?
If this is not 100% yes.
62% of the audience said yes. So
That's
you're
not
telling
high
me
enough.
38% of our listening audience thinks it's okay for two grown adults to go into their backyard without a net and just bump and set a volleyball back and forth to each other.
Apparently. You heard it here first, folks.
God, our audience is
the only way that you can say no is if you do that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So 38% of our audience does that on a regular basis?
38% of our audience is just a bunch of dicks.
You're on fire today, man. Hot take after hot take. Nobody's safe.
I apologize.
No, you don't.
I don't care. And I believe this is the last one this week. The biggest one, Steve. Heard it on the intro. Do you own a pair of rollerblades?
Guilty. I do. I own a pair of blades.
Not just a pair of blades. The same pair of it wasn't the same pair of blades you've had since you were like a teenager.
I got them in college, probably.
Oh, that's right. Because then we talked about how your notoriety in college is running upstairs after underwear wrestling in front of the hot girls and
rollerblading
around the quad.
The quad was grass. You couldn't blade around the quad.
Steve, 75% of the audience said no, they do not own a pair of rollerblades.
75%?
75% does not. And
Okay.
again, I agree with you. I think it's a dumb mode of any transportation or recreation. Get on a bike, get in your car, stop being dumb, take a walk. I just can't stop it today. I'm sorry.
It's like you've been pent up in your house for too long.
I told Katie this morning, I forget what I even unleashed on Katie this morning. I unleashed a burner of a hot take, and I said, I'm sorry, since I got rid of Twitter, I don't have an outlet for these, and they're just pent up inside of me.
Katie, if you need help, just reach out.
Blink twice.
Send a call and say that you're ordering a pizza, and we'll know. Oh, pepperoni? Okay, we'll be there really quickly.
Steve, those are your polls for the week.
All right.
And you can find those at Steve and Kyle, Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, we have a couple for this week, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I posted a few now that you can find there as well. I already forgot what they were, but they are up there. One is, should Steve sell the Hot Rod Scoot?
Yep.
And, I definitely forgot what the second one was. But you can find those again at Steve and Kyle. Facebook and Twitter is where we post the polls. Really close to getting 10,000 followers on Instagram.
Really?
We can then start posting polls and links there on
very
our stores.
cool.
So, yeah,
Right.
10,000. Really close.
But without further ado,
It's time for
Kenny Rogers.
back to the wheel.
You've got to know when to hold up. Fact of the week. Know when to fold 'em.
Now, again, we're going to be doing a Kenny Rogers Fact of the Week until he is alive once again. I believe was the rule that we came up with.
Yep. Boy, oh boy. And I told you, Steve, I don't know how long it's going to be until he's alive, but I also don't know how long it's going to be until one of us has to buy the biography and start giving her a read-through until we run out of facts for Kenny Rogers.
Are you ready for the Kenny Rogers Factoid of the Week?
Again, a sense of calming in uncertain times. I'm so ready.
Well, let me tell you. Kenny Rogers,
Yeah?
for decades.
Whoa, that's more than 10 years.
Yeah. That's numerous blocks of 10 years.
That's upwards of 20 to 30 years, multiple decades.
For numerous decades, he was friends with Reba McEntire.
Whoa, okay. I could kind of see that, country crossover.
That's the lamest fact ever. Like, that's a terrible fact. They both, they're from the same genre.
I appreciate that, though. A couple of legends hanging out.
Now, if you had said for 30 years he was friends with Lars from Metallica.
Yeah, right. Or like Kenny Rogers developed a close friendship with Drake in his later
Right.
years. Like that would be
Yeah,
a true fact
or
of the
Kenny
week.
Rogers was Drake's ghostwriter.
Right.
Then I'm impressed.
Yeah, like Kenny had. Well, listen, he already faked being a bassist, as we learned last week on the Kenny Rogers Factoid of the Week.
Yeah.
So maybe he could also have faked being a hip hop artist and ghost-written Drake lyrics. Well, Steve, small, big, anywhere in between, I always appreciate the Kenny Rogers Factoid of the Week.
It's time for
Kenny Rogers.
Back to the wheel.
You've got to know when to hold up. Fact of the week. Know when to fold 'em.
One slight request.
Yeah.
That you could redo that, but instead of
It's time for
you can add me saying, "That was the."
Ooh. Hang on. Sorry, give it to me one more time cleanly.
That was the.
Okay. That'll be ready. So now we're going to need another sound.
So we're going to
piece
have an intro
and an outro. And literally the only difference is that, right?
Yeah, the only difference is it's time for
And that was the.
That was the.
Yeah, because I don't have time. Listen, you don't tinker with perfection.
No. Look, I resist the urge to ask you to go into the lab.
Yeah.
Because I know that when you're in the lab, that requires a considerable amount of effort.
Every time I go into the lab, Steve, I leave a little piece of myself when I come out.
So it's kind of like you're kind of like Iron Man in a sense.
Yeah.
Where every time you pop that new new thing in to replace your heart,
Yep.
your toxicity increases just a little bit.
Yeah.
So the longer you live, the less you have.
Yeah, and that's the only possible way to put it, Steve, is you're welcome, audience, because I have given you pieces of my life, and in the vein of the viewer mail time intro, and now the Kenny Rogers Factoid of the Week intro.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
Appreciate that.
But Steve, I may have to go back in the lab before too long.
Really? What do we got going on?
Because I think it's finally time, after weeks of teasing it, that we get to my gripe of the week.
Oh, the A bit, of course.
The A bit of the week, Steve. Now, do we want to try and do it again? A little bit of self-imaging. Or do we want to do something like that, or do you want to maybe record something down in the studio and I can tinker with it later?
Come on. You know how we do this. Go ahead, go. You start.
Oh, okay. You want me to start the imaging?
Yeah. What is it? Okay, so it's Kyle's gripe of the week.
Grr, he's mad.
The bird hit the post perfectly.
Hang on. Let me get back in it because, again, I don't like to edit all of this. I just like to tinker with the audio down in the lab. So I like it to be one big wave that I don't have to mess with the
I got to
timing
follow
on.
up. I got to follow
Yeah. Grr, he's mad.
You're about to get an earful. So upset, he's angry.
Hey, you! I don't like when...
Kyle's gripe of the week.
Gripe of the week!
Gripe. Oh, thank you, Steve, for that lovely intro. I appreciate it. And, this week for the gripe of the week, this is one, Steve. Now, I have a list. And this one has been burning. We're all quarantined, okay? We all get it. Events are being canceled. Things can't happen. And one of those things seems to be anywhere between 6 and 13-year-olds' birthday parties.
Yes.
And let me tell you something.
Oh, boy, I think I know where you're going with this.
I couldn't care less about. It's 6 to 13-year-olds' birthday parties. Okay, so listen up, local news. Listen up, communities. Listen up, neighborhoods. Listen up, sad parents, because your 7-year-old can't go bowling. Let me tell you what the solution isn't. Calling the local fire department and the local police department and having them rear through the neighborhood with their lights flashing and their sirens blaring. As an 8-year-old, let me tell you what I couldn't care less about. Bright lights on a truck. Who cares? Oh, is that a siren? How neat. That's not the only thing. The real problem with these police department and fire truck drive-bys, let taxpayer money be damned, Steve. That's for another day, another gripe of the week.
Okay. Am I allowed to jump in, or should
if you could shut up for a few minutes.
I apologize. Sorry. You just point at me when you're ready.
What about the neighbors? Is anybody thinking about the neighbors? Steve, don't jump in. You've got a kid. Your kid needs naps. I've got a kid. He needs naps. I've got dogs that don't like loud noises. Yet you've got a bunch of yahoos on their porch waving at police officers as they blast their horns.
I just took my headphones off for a second to see how loud you were. You're really loud.
Who gives a damn? It's like most time people when police cars are in the neighborhood, all they're doing is nosing out the window. Like, ooh, what they do? Are they in trouble? Who cares? Keep the police cars at the police station, the fire trucks waiting for a fire to happen. Enough with the drive-bys. Kids don't care. 80-year-olds don't care. 80-year-olds have had 80 birthdays. You think they're going to remember the 81st when a fire truck went by? No. It's stupid. Thank you for tuning in to Kyle's Gripe of the Week. Steve, your turn.
I got a little nervous there because you were getting very animated, so I measured our social distance during that. Oh, we're down to about 88.
Hey, guys. I'm just taking a walk over there in the Zach, or outside the Zach. There's no question they could have heard me. Yeah, you heard me. I'm sorry. It's on the news every day. Like, local woman Glenda celebrated her 81st birthday in a unique fashion today. Enough. Enough. Keep them in the station. We're paying for that gasoline, Steve.
We are.
We're paying for those hours that they're on the clock to drive through a neighborhood and wave at Glenda.
Well, it could be volunteer.
What if somebody out there, heaven forbid...
Is this still going?
Sorry, I called the end. I apologize. You should recognize it. I just don't get it. Like, explain to me if a house fire happens, like they get a call and they're down Elm Street and now they got to tear out of town 20 miles because they went out of their way to wave to Glenda. Who gives a damn? Stupid. I think Glenda with the Boy Scouts and the motorcycle riders.
Scoot riders?
No, scoot riders are good. You're not as pompous.
We know
you know your place.
Yeah, we're very well aware of our place.
Have you ever once, as a scoot rider, sat in your driveway, started up the motorcycle, and not just taken off, but gone vroom, vroom, to see how loud it can get? No, you're okay then. Man, that feels good.
You're tingly.
That feels it's along the that nerve or whatever. It's like below the pinky up the wrist. That feels good.
Boy.
Woo!
Well, you heard it here first, folks.
Oh.
Kyle hates old people birthdays.
And young kid birthdays. Yeah, so, while wasting my dollars and waking up my kid.
Right.
Enough.
So that's your main...
Enough.
Question, how many of those have gone down your street?
Neither here nor there, Steve.
So you're not so much upset with the act of the fire truck birthday party. Mm-hmm. You're upset with the news for reporting on the fire truck birthday party?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to post it on the poll, but I can't post it until I know people have listened.
No. That's the beauty of these polls. They're the out-of-context polls.
All right.
So it's just, are you tired of the fire truck birthday party?
No, I don't want to give it away before it's heard. So I kind of just want to put, do you agree with Kyle's gripe of the week? But that's, people hate me, so it's going to go.
Well, how about, do you agree with Kyle's stance on the fire truck birthday party? That way, it's leaving it kind of open.
Come on.
Everybody knows, though.
People listening to this show, do you think that I'm sitting here clapping and waving as the fire trucks drive by?
Yay!
Yeah. Now, stop waking up my kids. Go back to work. You're a public servant. Act like it.
Quick question here. How about if it's a mailman drive-by birthday?
Thank you for your service, United States Postal Service worker. Please keep on honking those horns and keep on dropping that mail.
All right, well, we'll talk to you in just a couple of days with a Fast 5 episode. Thank you for joining us here out on the deck, out on the veranda.
Deckcast!
We'll do it again next week, hopefully, weather permitting.
Man.
See you later.